So hello everyone and welcome to this week's Alertus Power Lunch. Mobilize your response with the Alertus Activator app. This session will demonstrate how the Alertus Activator mobile application can transform every authorized user's phone into a fast, convenient alert activation and cancellation tool. For system administrators, we'll also dive into essential configuration settings to add new users and customize their permissions in the Alertus Activator app. And my name is Sarah Gillum, and I'm a trading specialist here at Alertus, so I'll be leading this session today. And as always, this is an interactive session, so please feel free to ask any questions using the Q&A feature. And please also be aware that the session is being recorded for training purposes, and you will receive a copy of the recording after the session. But without further introduction, we will go ahead and get started. So I am going to start by sharing my screen. We're just going to take a quick look in the Alertus console, and then I'm going to pull up my phone so that we can walk through the Activator app together. But I first just wanted to show you if you are in the Alertus console, where you can check just to confirm that you do have the licensing to use the Activator app. If you're ever curious what features you're currently licensed for, you can see those in the Alertus console if you click the support button at the very bottom left of the screen, and then you come to licensed features. You'll see all the features that you're licensed for, and in this activation methods inbound section, you'll see one called mobile activation app. So as long as you have the check there, then you are good to go and licensed for the Activator app. I do also recommend, if you're not currently using it and you'd like to, and you do have any questions, that you reach out to your Alertus account manager, and then they can provide more information as well. But now that we've checked on that, I'm going to minimize my Alertus console, and I am going to pull up my phone here. Hopefully you can see my phone screen so we can take a look through the app. So the app that we're using today is that red Activator app. I already have it downloaded and in my Alertus folder. But if you don't have the Activator app, you're able to just open up the App Store on your phone. Whether you have an iPhone or an Android, you would just search for Alertus Activator, and then you'll see it. It'll just be that red Alertus Activator app that you can select to download from here. And once you've got it downloaded, it will ask you, as you open it up, to first put in the host name for your Alertus server. If you are familiar with logging in and sending alerts from the Alertus console, your Alertus hostname is just going to be the URL that you go to access your Alertus console. So this is just my training server at training.alertus.com. And if I pull up the Alertus console, I see the URL matches training.alertus.com. So that's what you'll put in there, and then you will hit continue. And then the next step is just signing in with a username and password. So this is also going to be the same credentials that you use to log into the Alertus console. So whatever login you use to log in there, it'll be the same credentials that you'll use for the Activator app. And there is this toggle to save your login credentials. I recommend turning that on so that during an emergency, you're not typing your username and password to log in. It'll keep all that saved for you. And there is also a forgot password link at the bottom under the sign in button. So if you do ever realize you forgot your password or you need to reset it, then you can use the forgot password link to do that. But I am going to go ahead and click that sign in button. And then once you do sign in to the Activator app, you'll see something that will look like this. You should see status online at the top. That just lets you know that your phone is connected and talking to the server, and you're able to send alerts out from here. And then if you scroll down towards the bottom, you'll see a quick access section. So you can select and send preset alerts that you've added to this quick access menu just by selecting them from there directly. But if you don't see the alert that you need in quick access, you can also click this View Presets button, and then that will show you all of the additional preset alerts that you have built out and saved on your system. So maybe if I'm wanting to send an evacuation order, for example, I could type that out and then find my evacuate order alert really quickly. So I'm just going to click my evacuate alert. Once you do select the alert that you'd like to send, it'll populate with the text here that's already been formatted for you. And based on the system settings, which we'll take a look at in the console in a bit, you can decide if you want to give people permission to edit the text or not. I have the text override setting turned on, so I could change this text from the app if I needed to. If you have the text editing setting turned off, then the text box would just be grayed out and you would just send the message that had already been composed for you. But once you've got the text the way that you want, you can keep scrolling down on this page just to confirm some additional settings. So I can see, for example, the duration of the alert. This is set to go for 10 minutes. I can also see the groups or the recipients that it's going to. So in this example, this is just going to activate devices that are in my Building 1 group. And then I can also scroll down to see my Alertus delivery methods. So this is the different types of devices the alert is going to. So in this example, I have it activating my desktops, my digital signage, my text-to-speech speakers, and my alert beacons in Building 1. So it's always good to just check and confirm where the alert is going before you do send it. And then if I keep scrolling down, I can also see how many of those devices I'm targeting, and then how many of them are actually online right now. So right now, just my desktop is online. And then whenever you're ready to send it out, you'll just click that green activate button. I'll press activate, hit activate again. That will send out the activation request. It'll tell me it's been complete, so I can close that. And now it'll bring me to the alerts page. Here's the evacuation alert I just sent.
Evacuate the premises immediately and await further instructions.
And I'm just going to click the acknowledge button just to close the alert from my own desktop. But as you can see from this alerts page in the Activator app, the alert is still active in the system. It's showing up as a red active alert. So my speakers, my alert beacons would still be going off. I could just let the alert run for the full duration it was set for, and then it would just end on its own. But if you do ever need to cancel an alert early, you can do that just by clicking on that red active alerts window. Here you get the confirmation page again, so you can see the alert settings, and then you would just click that cancel alert button at the bottom, and then hit yes to confirm it, and then that'll fully cancel the alert. So it'll stop all of your devices from activating. So just to review that process one more time, maybe after my evacuation order, now I want to send out an all clear. The first step, you would just select the alert either from the View Presets list or from your quick access menu. You would confirm that the alert settings look good, potentially change the text if you needed to, and then you would press activate to activate the alert. It would send the request, tell you it's been complete, and now we'll see there is an active alert, this time for the all clear that I just sent, and then we should see that all clear popping up on the desktop. There it is.
The emergency is over. The emergency situation hasn't been normal.
So I'm just going to acknowledge that to close it from my own computer, and then I can go ahead and cancel the alert early just by clicking on that active alerts window, hitting the cancel alert button at the bottom, and then hitting yes to confirm it, and then that will fully cancel the alert. So now that we've looked at those settings, I did also want to mention how you can manage your quick access menu if you want to control which presets show up here. So let's say I want to add a new preset to my quick access that's not there already. I would click View Presets to see my additional alerts. Maybe I'll add this ABC University test alert to my quick access. So you can select the alert, and then you'll see at the top right there is that star icon. That's how you add it to quick access. So if I star it, now if I go back to the home page of the app, now I see ABC University test showing up in my quick access, and I could remove it in the same way just by selecting it. Now I can unstar it to remove it from my quick access menu, and now if I go back, ABC University test is removed from quick access. So I do recommend, as a best practice, just going in and starring the different alerts that you would want to be able to send as quickly as possible, just so that you can select them directly from quick access instead of having to click view presets. It just kind of eliminates one step to get it sent out quicker. And then, now that we've looked at activating and canceling alerts, I wanted to look at just a few more settings and functions in this app itself. So if I do go back to that alerts page at the bottom, you can see right now there are no active alerts in the system, but I can turn on this toggle to show alert history, and then this will give me a list of previous alerts that have been sent out in the past, so I can keep an eye on this here if I do want to see what's been sent out previously, and I can click on any of those alerts to see the information. So I can see, for example, that it's finished because it was canceled. I can see the duration. I can see who it went to. So just a good overview of the previous alerts that have been sent out, kind of similar to the alert history report in the Alertus console, just with slightly less information, but it is a good overview if you do want to see what's been sent out previously. And then you can also click on that reports button at the bottom. This will give you some more activation information. Specifically at the top, you can see the number of activations that you've had in whatever time frame you selected. So right now I'm looking at the past 7 days, but I could look farther back, maybe the past 30 days if I wanted to, and then you can see each of those days how many activations I had go out. And then if I keep scrolling down, here I can just see some server information. So I can see, again, the host name of the server I'm connected to. I can see the server version. I can see the license expiration dates. So this is helpful for people managing the server, just to take a quick look at this information. And then lastly, if I do click into settings, here are some additional settings that you can manage. Again, you'll see the Alertus server that you're connected to at the top. If you do have multiple servers, you can have multiple environments saved to toggle between them. And then you do have the option here to turn this enable biometrics toggle on, and that will allow you to sign in to the app using Face ID instead of having to enter in and save a username and password. And then you could also adjust the language. If English is not your first language, the app also supports Spanish, French, and Portuguese if you wanted to pick any of those. And then you can also see your user permissions, so you can see everything that you have permission to do in the app. You can also see some support resources. If you did ever need to contact Alertus support, you can find their email and phone numbers here. And then you can also see some additional device settings if you wanted to adjust the sound that is played when the alert is active, or if you want to change the sound that it makes if you disconnect or reconnect to the network. You can pick some different sound options for those. And then lastly, there is this send logs button that can be helpful for troubleshooting. You're able to click that to send logs to Alertus support. So that is pretty much the full rundown of the Alertus Activator app. Now that we've looked at the app itself, I do also want to pull up the Alertus console again, just to talk through some settings that you can manage from console that will impact how people use the app. So one setting is in this settings button here. If you do want to allow people to change the text of the preset alerts, like I was able to do, there is a setting in the console that's called preset text override, and that would apply both for the Activator app and for presets that are sent from the Alertus console. So because I have preset text override selected, if I did select to send a preset alert, my dispatchers have the ability to change and edit the message if they needed to. But if you don't want people to have that permission and you just want them to be able to send out your alerts as is without changing the language, you can come back to settings and you could turn off that preset text override and then save it. So now if I do that and I go back to send a preset alert, I'll pick the same one. Now I see the text is grayed out and I no longer have the permission to edit the text. I would just be sending it as is. And then that'll also update on the app. If I did, for example, pick the preset alert I wanted to send in the Activator app, now that I have the text editing setting turned off, if I click in this box to try and change the text, I don't have permission to do so. So that's a good setting you can manage. Again, just depending on if you want to give people more flexibility to change the message or if you just want to keep them to send it as it's been created. And then I did want to go next in the console into this configure system section down to the users and access rights page. So this is where you would go if you do want to add new users so that they could log into this web console. But this is also where you would add users so that they can log in and use the Alertus Activator app to send alerts from their phones. So if you needed to add someone new, you would just click add user at the top and then fill out their information. You would give them a username. This enabled toggle just means that their account is turned on and able to be logged into. And then for each of your users, you're able to assign them to a specific role. We'll look at the settings for these roles when we get down to the role section on this page. But you're able to create new custom roles if you'd like. And the Alertus system does come with 3 standard roles already set up. So your admin role, that's the highest level of permission. So your admins are going to have full access to everything in the console as well as the Activator app. So admins in the console can see all the activation pages, reports, and dashboards. And admins can also manage the configure system settings to make configuration changes as needed. But a slightly more limited type of user would be the dispatcher or standard user. So a dispatcher would have access to the activation methods, both in the console and the Activator app. They could also typically view dashboards and reports, but dispatchers, if they logged into the console, are not going to be able to see the configure system section or make configuration changes. And then the most limited type of user is the preset only user. So if you want someone just to be able to send preset alerts from the console or to use the Activator app to send preset alerts there, then that's the permission you can give them if you want it to be the lowest level of access. And optionally, you can assign a restriction to your users. I'll show you these restrictions when we get down to the restrictions setting as well. But this can be helpful, especially if you want to restrict which presets they have access to, if you don't want them to be able to send all the presets on your system. And then as you're creating the user, you would fill out their email address. You could add any notes if you'd like. And then you have 2 options for the account authentication. Most commonly, you can leave this checked so that you can invite the user to create a password via email. So it would send this email address an email letting them know they've been added to the Alertus system and that they can create their own password. Or you do also have the option, if you prefer, you can manually create a password for the user, putting it in here, and then they could always use that reset password link to change it in the future. So that's how you can add new users. And if you scroll past this users section, you'll get to this user roles. And this is where you can manage the permissions that each role has. So for example, my preset only role, I did give them access to just send preset activations. They wouldn't see the other activation pages in the console, but they could still send preset activations either from here or from the app. And I do give them permission as well to cancel alerts. I could get rid of that if I just want them to send and not be able to cancel. And you could also check if you want them to see any reports or dashboards, or if you did want to give them any configuration access, you could check to see which pages in Configure System you would want them to see. So as you can see, the roles are super customizable, so you can really restrict each person's access to just the things that you want them to use. And if I close out of the roles section, at the very bottom of this page is the restrictions. And like I mentioned, the restrictions are most often used to restrict which presets someone can see. So for example, if you have like multiple campuses or sites across the country and you have particular dispatchers or activators that only ever work on one site or one campus, when they log in, you might only want them to see the presets for their location. That'll give them fewer options to choose from during an emergency so that it's easier for them to find the right thing really quickly. So for example, I created this restriction for my Building 2 presets that I can assign to anyone that always works at Building 2. I was able to come in here and just restrict what presets I want them to see. So they're only going to see the ones that I have checked for them for Building 2. They're not going to see all of the presets that I have in my system. And this works both for if they're looking at presets in the console or if they're looking at presets in the Activator app. So I'm going to log in as this preset only user in the app, and I'm going to show you what it looks like since they do have that restriction. So let me pull my app back up on the side here, and I'm going to make sure that I am logged in as that preset only user account. It'll take me just a second to type out the username and password, and then I'll pull up my phone so that you can see it as well. Make sure I type everything correctly. I'm realizing I made my username and password pretty long. There we go. So now I am signed in. So as a reminder, this preset only user did have that Building 2 restriction. So the previous account I was logged into didn't have a restriction. So as you could have seen before, they had a ton of presets in their quick access. They could click view presets, and my other user was scrolling through a long list of presets. But because I assigned the restriction to that user from the console, when they log in with that account, it applies to the Activator app as well. So they're only going to see the presets that I've given them access to. So they only have the select few for Building 2. So again, I do recommend using restrictions if you do have people that are only on one site or people that you only want to send certain alerts. You can minimize the options that they have to choose from during an emergency. But I think with that being said, that was everything I had on the agenda to walk through today, going over how to send and cancel alerts from the Activator app, as well as some other app settings and some settings that you can manage from the Alertus console. But I am going to, let's see, I'll stop sharing my screen for right now, and then I am also going to pull up a few resources to put in the chat. And I don't see any questions yet, but as a reminder, I believe the chat is open and the Q&A box is open. If you did have any questions about any app features or anything that we looked at today, please feel free to put in any questions. But in the chat here, I am going to put in the link to a user guide on our customer portal that walks through how to install and configure the Alertus Activator app, essentially going through the things that we talked through today so that you can start using it for your system. So that's a very helpful resource. I want to make sure you're aware of that guide. And then I am also going to go ahead and put in the link to register for next week's Alertus Power Lunch. The topic is going to be software panic button configuration with Alertus Desktop 7. So if you're interested in using the newest desktop software to configure software panic buttons that your team can access from their computer without having to log into the console, then that could be a helpful topic. So hopefully, if that sounds helpful to you, I'll see you at that session next week. But I think that is everything. I don't see any questions showing up yet. If you do think of any other questions down the line, feel free to email them to trainingteam@alertus.com, and I can get those questions answered for you. But yeah, I think I'll go ahead and close it out here. So I want to thank you again for attending the session today. Hopefully it was helpful, and I hope you all have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend. Oh, and if the Activator app link isn't working, let me pull it up and make sure I shared the right link. Oh, I do think maybe that article got removed. Our documentation team is always updating the documentation that we have available. So let me find the updated link and share that with you. Thank you for pointing that out. There we go. I'm going to pull in this link. This is for the updated documentation, the user quick guide for the Activator app. So let me pull that in here. And now this should be the correct link for the Activator app guide, but definitely let me know if you have any trouble opening that one as well. So. Perfect. Awesome. So that sounds great. And yeah, as always, thank you again for your time today. Take care and have a great weekend.